Hello, everyone, and welcome to Duelist Academy. Behold, my stuff. We are going to be talking about Yu-Gi-Oh! Today, as we always do, and welcome once again to Duelist Academy. I am happy to be here and happy to show you all of the fun stuff that I got going on. I actually have a small project I've been working on, and I haven't really told a lot of people. So I can show you over here. So this over here is a deck list of 2,222 cards. The problem was that it was in German. And they had to have a deck box that looked like this. Yeah, you thought mine was impressive? This is what it looks like. They actually built this thing so you could try to shuffle this thing. And that is the look of a judge that's like, maybe we need to change the rules a little bit. Because, ooh, wow, that just seems really, really difficult. Best part about it is that this deck is actually called Mixing Impossible. And I can get the booklet up to you, but as you can see, that's a page count of 112 cards. It's just a beast to go through, and it's just so funny because I actually think this is a full legal deck. So that's been my translation project for a little while. But let's go over what we're going to be doing today. So in Duelist Academy, we are going to be talking about Yu-Gi-Oh! And this is going to have to be PG-13 content. I'm sorry we're not able to do Enter the Shadow Realm just this year. But, I mean, if you want to go over here onto Twitter and ask me questions about it, always feel free to. I'm always happy to discuss it. But if you want to post your questions here and have them read live, I'm going to need them in the Twitch chat. So get those primed and ready, and I'll be going through them one at a time and see if I can answer them, or if I can try to at least get some humor out of it. So let's take a look. Oh, what is a Yu-Gi-Oh? I believe that translates to King of Games or lots and lots of hair gel. I'm pretty sure Yu-Gi-Oh is Kirito's friend from the latest season of SAO. Maybe I haven't seen it. I'm not going to say no to that. Origin of the manga or the anime. I guess basically that's a good time to let everybody know this is basically everything Yu-Gi-Oh related. I'm not going to say that, oh, well, the abridged series doesn't count, the card game's out of the way. I'll give you my honest opinions on all of them. So, what is your favorite Yu-Gi-Oh card? I actually have evidence for this one. So, this little deck box here is one that my brother got when he was in Japan. And it is where I store my favorite card. This little guy right here. That's a little too reflective. Let's go with a different one. Let's go with that. Neo the Magic Swordsman. For all of you at home that probably didn't see that on camera, this is how thick of copies of that card that I have. It's a lot. I actually got my screen name because of that, and I collect a lot of that 1 25-cent card and get whatever I want. But it also had a card evolution, which got stronger, and was also totally useless. So I love it to death. That is probably my favorite card, and I collect all of them. So if you have spare ones, I'll take them. I'm not kidding. I will take them. Let's see. Can I ask about how he knows how the mangaka was treated by the end of the publisher, or can he talk about how he actually got to see the Book of the Dead? Oh my goodness, he did? He got to see the Book of the Dead. That is so cool. Oh man, I would have loved to see that. I already asked what's in the box. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, but Yu-Gi-Oh! Definitely has a lot of not fantastic cards, and I can show you this over here. This is actually great because now I can actually show people stuff instead of just like referencing it. Swordsman. Not without an M, come on. And it is going to be this little guy over here. So if you don't know much about this card, it's totally useless. You could probably pick it up for, yeah, unlimited edition is 4 cents. So, if you give me a nickel, it's probably worth more, and I don't know if the cardboard is actually worth more than in the ink it's printed on, but it's probably close. Oh... So, what is my collection worth? That is kind of an interesting question. So, it's hard to see, but right over here is actually where I have a whole ton of my binders. I actually probably only have something to the degree of... It's probably somewhere around $3,000, I'm not gonna lie. A lot of it was like I invested in it, it never got a reprint, it got more expensive, and also, you know, my wife got me a $200 leaf kicker box, which is impressive because this does not accidentally open. So yeah, you don't know. You would think it's like, oh, he's gonna upturn the whole thing, except the thing is, there are magnets on this thing, and these are rare earth magnets. So there is no way this deck comes out unless I want it to. And this, right now, the deck that I have in here is one that revolves around a card called Raid Raptor Ultimate Falcon. That one's actually kind of interesting because it has the first line attacks that pretty much anyone can understand about why this is broken. So let's take a look at that one. Raid Raptor. This is always fun, just looking at me, looking at a screen and trying to go and look up a monster. Oh, come on. Seriously? Riveting content, everybody. Okay, so Raid Raptor Ultimate Falcon. So when I take a look at that one, unaffected by other cards' effects. That right there is just a line of text that basically is how we've gotten in Yu-Gi-Oh! To make stronger monsters. Because at first it's like, oh, well, we're just gonna make it so that you can't be targeted. Or, oh, you just can't be destroyed by this. Oh, well, that ability doesn't target. Well, this one just affects it. Well, it's not affected by traps. And this one's just like, you know what? I'm not doing any of that. I am not concerned with your petty abilities, and the only way that I will be destroyed is through glorious combat. And the funny thing, it might not be strong enough to actually be a meta card anymore, and it might not be a meta deck. But I love this one. It's all based around level 1 monsters, and getting out this card incredibly fast, and most people, by the time it hits the board on turn 3, if it doesn't have any counters, they're like, paid a lot of money for this deck. How much is that one worth? And then you go over, and then you take a look, and it's like $150. It's kind of amazing how not expensive this card is, and it still does a lot of work. I do a lot of research when it comes to these. I know some of the other questions that I got earlier were like what my favorite decks were. So this is one that I really, really like sharing. So a lot of times when you play Yu-Gi-Oh, you have to have monsters. It makes perfect sense. But there's a card out there that's called Reversal Quiz. Okay, fair enough. Yeah, definitely. Someone in the comments just mentioned that Kaiju is better than Ultimate Falcon. Yeah, there is that fun fact of you can just summon Godzilla and it stomps on the God Bird and then it's just gone. And there's nothing you can do. I definitely try to work around that one. So, Reversal Quiz. If I can type correctly. Versal. I got my PhD in dueling, not spelling. And it's kind of obvious at this point. Quiz. Oh, come on. How do you spell reversal? This is riveting stuff. There we go. Alright, so Reversal Quiz is a card that says, send all cards from your side of the field to the graveyard. Call a card type. Whether that is a spell, a trap, or a monster on top of your deck. If you call it right, exchange your current life points with your opponent's ones. So, that's the interesting bit. is that it's a risk versus reward kind of thing. You are desperate, you need to throw literally everything from your field and hand into the graveyard. You need to get life points back. And there's nothing. What are we gonna do? Well, you can use Reversal Quiz. And I went, okay. But that card is a spell card. So what am I going to do if I don't have the right one? I need to manipulate the top of the deck. And then I realized, wait, so there's a card combo that works with me paying all my life points down to like 1,000 or below. And then one card called Fuma Shuriken and Black Pendant that's like, hey, if I go to the graveyard, just deal a small amount of damage to your opponent. So I went, wait, we can do no monsters. So I put in one trap and 39 spells into this deck, and there's nothing that gets me to guess it wrong because the combo goes off after I use my trap card. So I call it quiz cheating. So I prepare for this test, and I'm just like, okay, you can't attack, you're not able to activate this effect, you can't attack, gonna search for this. Reversal Quiz. Any response? No? Cool. Okay, so send everything to the graveyard. No, you don't get a guess, I do. Hold on. Spell. And you know what? Let's do double or nothing. The next 10 cards are gonna be spell. Spell, 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 spell. And the look on my opponent's face is like, what did you just do? And it's like, oh, yeah, so I send all of this to the graveyard, we're exchanging life points, you're not at 1,000. By the way, new chain, those were shurikens that I threw. They're now in your back. You're now dead. Congratulations, you lost to no monsters. And it was not a long-lived deck, but I always treasure that one right here. The other one was a fun little deck that was based around the Malefics, which were giant monsters from history that you had to have a field spell, otherwise they got destroyed, and it also revolved around one card that unfortunately got a little hit by the ban, and it's probably one of my favorite traps. This is Skill Drain. By paying 1,000 life points, you can activate this card, and then negate the effects of all face-up monsters on the field. So, they kind of forget that they're supposed to have a field spell on the board, and it's just like, okay, let's just go with raw stats. This one has 3,000 attack. And everyone else goes, I was planning on using abilities today, and they're like, oh no, nope, just bare knuckle this, we're gonna do this. And they're like, okay, did I play trap removal? I might have trap removal, and sometimes they didn't, and sometimes they just went like that to beat them down. So it's weird, because I'll have the total diametric opposite of I want to play either no monsters or the biggest monsters. Let's go to some other ones. And that, have you ever seen the 1999 Yu-Gi-Oh! Movie that was done by Toei? It was between Season 0 and Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Monsters Season 1. What do you think of it? If that one is The Legend of the Red Eyes Black Dragon, I haven't. It's very, very interesting just because it's like, this was them when Seto has green hair, and we're not exactly sure how this is all gonna work. And they tried, but it did make a really kind of baller-looking Blue Eyes. Let me see if I can find that one. That's Blue Eyes. Yeah, there we go. So, this one over here is what it looks like, where it is like 3 dragons chained together with this huge metallic face, and it had the ability that it could attack 9 different times. And it's just, it was definitely, we haven't learned about exactly what this card game is gonna do, but you know what? The aesthetics, we're gonna stick with that. We know what kind of aesthetics we love in that. Where did you get your puzzle box? So this puzzle box is based off of Gold Sarcophagus. It is from Leaf Kicker. They typically do a lot of Magic the Gathering stuff, so they've made one for Ratchet Bomb, they've made one for Sensei's Divining Top, but my wife found out that they also made the Yu-Gi-Oh! One, And I'm not gonna lie, when I had found the present behind in a place that I wasn't supposed to look, and it said, it's time to duel, it's like, oh, she got me, like, the complete series. No, it turns out she spent a little bit more, and I absolutely adore this thing. This is so cool. Just being able to go like this, and then people will be just like, don't worry, this whole thing's held up with rare earth magnets. I have to basically put lead bricks in this thing before it moves. Let's see. What is my PhD in? Dueling. Yeah, totally dueling. Let's ignore the fact that I haven't gotten a full professorship, and the professor in Professor Shinobi actually means that I'm the person talking, because that's what the typical definition is, and I don't actually have a full professorate yet. Does your wife share your love of Yu-Gi-Oh? Yes and no. A lot of it is just very interesting. We both really like the anime. She hasn't seen as much of the later stuff after GX that I have. She kind of liked 5Ds. It was fun. I really like 5Ds. I think it's my favorite out of all of them. But it's so rough for me to try to teach her the card game, because, like, in Magic, you can get a deck, have Singleton, and you can play everything that you need for it, and it's a really fun experience. And I taught her Magic a long time ago, but teaching her Yu-Gi-Oh! Was interesting because it rotates way faster. For all of you in the know for Magic, it's kind of like having to teach someone Magic from Standard. It's not a good idea. You basically have the idea that it's just going to change in 3 months. That's the problem I have a lot with Yu-Gi-Oh! Right now, is just that the meta is just constantly rotating, constantly updating, and it has to one-up itself, because there's no, like, oh, okay, this card is 15 years old, we're getting rid of it, we need to balance this out. It's just so rough to teach her what to play when everything's gonna change. And so she does like Yu-Gi-Oh! She enjoys it. I would say I probably like it more, but it's not out of, like, dread or hatred for it. It's just, I haven't played as much Yu-Gi-Oh! Recently, just because, you know, with remote duels, I don't have anything for this webcam to point downward for remote duels, and I'll be honest, my desk looks like a mess right now. So, yeah, I would definitely say that she loves Yu-Gi-Oh!, but maybe not just as much as me. Piano Poodle, of all the anime exclusive effects, which would you have replace Konami's effects? I.e., Anime Raw and a bunch of extra powers and tournament legal stuff. That's a good question. I mean, I don't want Ori Calicos to steal my soul. That's a big one. Man, that is a fantastic question. I'm just trying to think of what other ones. I think my favorite, that I would have loved to see at tournaments and immediately get banned, is that if you look at Wakura Raska, which I apologize to the language of that, and I have no idea exactly how to pronounce it. Let's see. Earth. I'll see if I can find it, because what it is, it's a big condor, and it's used as a boss monster. What had happened is, it's like, oh, okay, yeah, so we're gonna have a giant bird, we're gonna have a 3-on-1 duel, this is gonna be awesome. And it had the ability, when it was printed in the card game, that it's like, oh yeah, just send cards from your side of the field into your deck, shuffle it, it gains 1,000 attack for each. So it's like, well, okay, that's not terrible. If you look at Wakura Raska's anime ability, which I'm trying to see if I can pull up. Trivia. Yeah. Let's go to look at that. So, this is the only Earthbound Immortal whose unique effect is different than real life. In the anime, its effect reduces its opponent's life points to 1 if its controller skips the battle phase. So, for all of you that's a little confusing, imagine this. You start at 8,000 life points. You could summon this, go, I'm not doing a battle phase, let's just drop you down to literally 1 point, and spark, deal 200 damage. Next game, please. And I just looked at that and I'm like, there is no way they are printing it like that, and if they are, I am going to laugh my butt off, because that is hilarious. So yeah, Piano Poodle, I think that would probably be it. Favorite archetype? I forget if spell counters technically count as an archetype, but I love the Endymion series. And that's something that I actually really enjoy about Yu-Gi-Oh! Is that they don't really have robe wizards, they have armor wizards. And I can definitely show that over here. Where it's like, okay, even though we're going to be doing robes, we're going to have a sense of armor and grandeur to it. And you just don't really see that nearly as much in other games. A lot of times when you have wizards that are just the traditional robe, maybe have a sword and they look more like Gandalf the Grey. These guys, they're like, you know what? We want these guys to look intense. So I love that about them. As for spell counters, it was always an interesting thing for me because it's like, okay, spell synergy, monster synergy, get value out of everyone, and your opponent's going to play spells. And it's either going to disincentivize them to play that, or you're going to get a lot of value. And I always love that. So, aesthetic-wise, they're probably my favorite. I don't know if there's really an archetype that I like more than them. I do like the Dogmaticas. The Dogmaticas, believe it or not, are actually drawn by the same person who does Fate's Day Night. So let's take a look at one of those. Right, it's spelled with a K. Yeah, so over here, this looks like it's supposed to be a preview image for Fate's Day Night, but it's because, one, that's actually the artist that did it, and two, it's actually a really cool archetype of like, oh yeah, we're gonna team up with you guys and see what else we can help you out with. So I really, really like that. Alright, what other questions have we got in the audience? Have you ever seen the Yu-Gi-Oh! Reanimated based on Season 0? I guess that's a no. I haven't. I would love to learn more about it. I'm not sure if this has been referred to, that Kaiba has brown hair, I think. It's such a weird movie. Yeah, that movie was very, very strange, where it's like the kid loses a Red Eyes Black Dragon, Seto wants it for some reason, even though the Blue Eyes White Dragon is just as strong, and he's also incredibly rich, so I don't know why he does that. It kind of looks like a friendly guy. Yeah, you're not wrong. You are not wrong, NebrasKon. That definitely looks like that. What do you want to see in a future Yu-Gi-Oh! Series or manga? I think there's a couple things. One, I really like the idea of new formats. I just want the new formats to be good. And by saying that, there's a lot of problems that I feel like they currently have with it. Number one, if you have a card that is in Speed Duels, they have to have the word Speed Duel printed on the box. You can't use the old cards even though they're exactly the same. The card backs aren't different, the card face isn't different, the art isn't different, it just has the word Speed Duel in the text box. And it's like, okay, guys, we have an enormous short story that we have to memorize called the ban list. And you're telling me that we can't memorize anything about what they do? Like, I think you're overestimating how good we can memorize stuff. So, I really want that. But the other thing that I really want to see out of it is, I think I want to see more of the actual dual world. I want to see them actually basically isekai themselves. And because I really like that element. It's really fun when they actually go into the actual dual spirit realm and they actually summon the monsters. And I love the Millennium arc. I love the 5Ds arc where they actually visit the spirit realm for a little bit. And that's something that I'd love to see. And also, I want more strong female protagonists. I'm not gonna lie, I'm kind of tired of the boy prodigy because it's just overdone. And I think having more female representation would be great. I really, really do. Because by the time we had 5Ds, they did the first time that I watched 2 female duelists and I cared. Like, no offense, like, I can't think of one from GX. I can only really think of Taya versus Mai, and that's only because Yugi's feelings are hurt, and it wasn't good. But when you have 2 characters that are going, you're responsible for my brother being in a coma, and no, I don't remember that, well then you're a monster, and it's like, oh wow, there's actually drama in this. Like, this is actually good writing, this is a fun duel, I love this, I want to see more of it, because I want to make sure that the female representation is out there, and so it doesn't feel like it's just a boys club, which unfortunately for a lot of women who play Yu-Gi-Oh, that's what it feels like. Puzzle block is sick. Yeah, it is. You have it on VHS. Okay. Am I working on getting a PhD? Not very well. I actually don't have a PhD. If we want to get right down to it, my degree is in broadcasting with foci in English, film, and history, so I know about old movies. That's what it's supposed to do. And then I work at Costco, so you can see how well that went. My wife's son wants Yu-Gi-Oh cards for Christmas. What set is good for a good player? Okay, that's a great question. So, a lot of times, the best thing to do is getting a starter deck. And I know that sounds like the most generic answer, but let's be honest, the starter decks are actually really good because they come with the instruction booklet, and they, typically, the newer ones, a lot of people are like, if you want a budget deck, here's what you do. Buy Stretcher Deck, buy Stretcher Deck again, buy Stretcher Deck again. Congratulations, you have a tournament-ready deck if you just put all these parts together. Because sometimes they're only printed with one copy of a card you really want 3 of. And that would cost you probably somewhere to the tune of like $36 to do that. And I'm not gonna lie, it's really tough to just be like, okay, I'm gonna get them a whole bunch of cards for it. Otherwise, the other thing that you can do is get them a gift card to like TCG Player and just say, hey, I want you to go buy singles for the deck, and they can choose from there. And that's not cheating. That's not saying like, oh, I don't know what you like, so just buy whatever you want. That's saying that I respect your opinion of what cards you want, and I want you to have the ability to get them. Do you have a story about when you first started loving Yu-Gi-Oh? What was your journey for my collection? Okay, so I have a really weird habit of the first time that I encounter stuff, my brain goes, yeah, this is stupid. Like, the first time that I watched Pokemon, I'm like, this is dumb. This is just animals fighting. And now I love it. It's great. It's fun. And I remember watching Yu-Gi-Oh! For the first time, and I'm like, yeah, they're not explaining anything about the card game right now. This is kind of weird. This is dumb. And then they had The Legend of the Blue Eyes White Dragon come out, which I actually have a poster for. I have that in storage because I didn't have a good frame for it. I bought both starter decks, and it's like, yeah, we're gonna do this. Start with 2,000 life points, and we can attack directly. Why did this game take 2 minutes? What do you mean we start with 8,000 life points? Are you kidding me? And I remember the card that I pulled out of the Yu-Gi starter deck was Neo the Magic Swordsman. So that was one of the big ones. I remember looking at this, and it's like, wow. A dimensional drifter who not only practiced sorcery, but is also a sword and martial arts master. I like this. So fun fact, I might also have the only fan art of Neo the Magic Swordsman, because my wife painted it. I would have to look up where I have that one. It's probably also in storage because we're rearranging everything in here. Pandemic has definitely been a time of cleaning up everything and making sure that's going well. Let's see. And when did my journey for my collection begin? That would have been 6th grade, which was embarrassing number of years ago. I'm not gonna lie. Fun fact, I'm 31. How many total cards do you own? It's gotta be in the 10,000s. So fun fact, these cards right here are Magic the Gathering. Those cards over here are Magic the Gathering. My Yu-Gi-Oh stuff's over here. So I only have a few binders left, and there's partially a reason for that. It's gonna sound awful, but I sold a lot of my collection for my wedding. What actually happened was that when I proposed, I said, you know what? I'm going to sell these cards that I'm not using. I'm not using them anymore. I'm not playing as many decks with them. They're ones that I had because I bought a whole bunch of boxes. So let's just start selling them off. I sold so many cards that I bought our passes to Otakon that year just by selling cards. I couldn't make that up. Like, it was definitely something that was interesting about, I have enough money in this game, and some of them just spiked in price. Well, this is Yu-Gi-Oh! Because the card game wasn't supposed to exist. The card game was the original based on Magic the Gathering. Yeah, the manga, which is over... I'm having to learn how to point on this thing. Over here on that shelf, which is off camera, I do have all of Yu-Gi-Oh! Duelist. I have all of the original Yu-Gi-Oh! Series. I have all of Millennium World. And I think I have all... yeah, I do have all of Millennium R. Yu-Gi-Oh! R is a really great side story. I would definitely encourage people to read that one if you like Yu-Gi-Oh! At all. But the original one was... yeah, it was literally called Magic and Wizards. Like... please don't sue us, Richard Garfield. We're totally just doing a parody series. And then he got, like, a couple things of mail, and Kazuki Takahashi's just going through, like, when are you going to be doing more of that Magic and Wizards game? Oh, that's a weird email. Okay. When are you gonna... I think there's money in this. So he prints off a small range called Yu-Gi-Oh! Duelist, and, let's just double check. That's 24 volumes. For perspective, the original Yu-Gi-Oh! Is 7. And they also did Millennium World as 7, which I can't believe. Like, this guy just wrote so many. And it's really, really good. I love the art style in it. I love the stories in them. They're really, really good. I enjoy them so much, and I really do want to go through a solid read-through because I collected all of them now. Do you collect Pokemon or Magic the Gathering cards as well? Good question. I do have Pokemon cards out there. I actually do play a lot of Magic the Gathering. So this is one that I have for Magic the Gathering, and it's called Cezanne, the Perverter of Truth. So his idea is, hey man, you know what? I'm gonna be nice. You can draw more cards. So at the beginning of your turn, just draw 2 more cards and lose 2 life. What was that last bit? You lose 2 life for drawing 2 cards. You know, just... you start with 40. It's not that bad. It's really bad. It's really bad. It's like looking into a bad contract and you just didn't read the fine print. I call that deck Sign Here, Please. But no, I haven't been playing Pokemon nearly as much. I hear good things about it. It's just, and I love the fact that Pokemon does one thing absolutely better than Yu-Gi-Oh! If you have questions about how to play Pokemon, you go onto Pokemon's website, you download the free-to-play app, and it's really solid. It's officially supported. They do a great job. When you open packs in Pokemon, they give you a code to get the exact same cards online. It's really, really cool, and I love the fact that they do that. What is your favorite... hold on. What is your favorite uncensored artwork? What is your favorite censored artwork? I'm kind of confused about how to answer this one in a PG-13 format. I will definitely say that my favorite edit, though, is Invisible Guns. Because it's like, I'm pointing at you, Seto Kaiba, and you know martial arts! There's 2 of us! He jumped out a window. Well, nobody can survive that fall. And apparently, Kaiba just has the ability that he's been drawing so many cards that his finger grip is measured in metric tons to be able to just lift himself one-handed with a suitcase to just go up a cliff. There's uncensored artwork in Yu-Gi-Oh! Oh, okay, so like in the card art. Oh, golly. I'm not gonna lie, a lot of this censored artwork, when you translate it, is shorter skirt, bare midriff. A lot of times, that's just gonna be the edits that you see, and they're like, that harpy lady's showing a lot of skin. Let's give her a blue skin suit! And I'm like, I don't know if that's better or not, but hey, you're in charge of the decks. Let's see. Thank you for standing up for women in the media. Oh, yeah, no. There just needs to be more. Monster Reborn, Harpy Ladies, Elemental Hero, Percentage Race, Dark Magician Girl, Yubel. Yeah, all of those have edits. I don't know how much I'm able to really say in a PG-13 format, but if you want to follow me on here for Twitter, I'm absolutely open to discuss all of that. What support do you want to see? Okay, so one of the things that I love about Yu-Gi-Oh! That they've been starting to do is, hey, what old archetype can we bring back? And it's like, oh yeah, let's make Harpies a thing. And let's make a card that we haven't reprinted in a while just magically spike to $200. I love that because I have older cards. But it's cool. I really like the idea of not just make a new archetype and this is the new flavor of the month, but enhancing one that we already know. So if it's like, hey, there's new elemental heroes, there's new spell counters that actually got a lot of support. I love that. I really like the idea of building on what we have rather than introducing the new flavor and you have to adapt to this. We can do a little bit of both. It's not strictly you need to just do this, no new ideas, no kaiju or anything like that, but introduce them at probably a fair level. We want to have new stuff, but we also want support for our old stuff, because that way it keeps the game interesting. Censored, changed, localized artwork. I think one of the funniest is Last Day of Witchcraft. Witch? Oh, it's actually just called Last Day of Witch. Where it's just a giant no sign over the Last Day of Witch, and yeah, let's just say that if you're familiar with the Salem Witch Trials, that's what the original art looked like, and they're like, haha, that's a little too religious iconography there. Let's change it to something else, please. Yeah, you're totally welcome. You definitely, structured decks are a good way to do that. Oh, what's on my shirt? So this is another card game I would love to rep. This one is called Slay the Spire. So if we're familiar with roguelikes, you have the ability to just go through a tower, you try to get everything, and you die halfway through. If you remember the one episode where Joey is building a deck against Duke Devlin, that's called drafting, where you just are given a whole bunch of cards and you need to build from there. It's a rogue-like deck building game. And this is an amazing game. I have, like, probably close to 170 hours. I'd have to double check on Steam. Let's see. Slay the Spire in beta. Oh, it's a little bit more embarrassing. 1 second. It's, 209.5. Yeah, this is definitely one that I love to play, and it also had a Yu-Gi-Oh mod. They're actually really cool about people adding mods to the game, and you can play one of these 4 classes as, just trying to see which way I want to point, the Silent, the Watcher, Ironclad, and the Defect. You'll start out as Ironclad. I love all of them. They have very different play styles. If you like deck building games at all, I cannot stress this enough. You need to play Slay the Spire. And I love this t-shirt. I got it for my birthday. And I thought, you know what? I need to rep my card games, and even if they're not just Yu-Gi-Oh. Let's see. Does anyone play Weiss Schwarz? I do not. I affectionately call that game Waifu Wars because it's just putting a lot of anime characters in. I have gotten a couple of the Fate Stay Night cards signed for charity because it's like, oh, well, this would be great. Just wondering if anyone else in town plays it. Sadly, the company had Yu-Gi-Oh! Comic and their magazine didn't treat the mangaka right. Oh, that sucks. Yeah, Kazuki Takahashi is actually a pretty chill dude. Fun fact, his favorite movie is Jaws. Like, he is a huge movie aficionado of American cinema, and it's just really interesting to watch him work. What would be your ideal cast for Yu-Gi-Oh! Live action series? Okay. I say this in all sincerity. I don't know, but the Dark Magician is played by Dan Green. And I'm gonna show you why. Why is there a lifter? No. Voice actor. See, this is why I looked this up before I show anything. Yeah, okay, so he used to look... Let's see. Image. I swear this is going to be worth it. 1 second. Okay, so do that over here. Oh, come on. There we go. Alright, so. Before, after. Dude looks like a freaking wizard. And I deeply appreciate that. I don't really know. I haven't thought about doing a live adaptation with them. I would love for Little Karibo to make a physical cameo. It's really tough. I don't know who else I would really want in a live action movie. I'm a sucker for Liam Neeson. I'm a sucker for Ian McGregor. I don't know. Like, it's tough for me to go. Like, and if they make a live action movie, I hope it's good. I always do. Like, there's very few times that I'll go over to a movie and I'm like, man, I hope that sucks. Like, I really want movies to be good. I want them to be like, you know what? I usually don't like this content, but I love it. Who is the most evil villain in Yu-Gi-Oh! And why? Okay. Oh, man. I am probably gonna go... Oh, wow, that's such a good question. It's probably Merrick's dad. Like, let's be honest. The guy was really cruel. I understand that he came from a history of, like, this is tradition, I need to have this, I need to have an heir, I need to have something go down the line. But he didn't treat his son right, and that was wrong. And it's not shown in a light that's like, oh, this is just tradition, this is the way it goes. It's like, no, this was wrong of him. And that kind of hatred is literally what gets Merrick to be his dark version. And it's not the most fun villain, but it's definitely one of the most cruel. It's definitely tough to talk about, but it was good. Like, I enjoyed the fact that they actually treated that with respect and not, I expected more from you. And this is like, no, this was a realistic look at someone who was just hateful and let everything corrupt everything around him, and ultimately it's his downfall. So it's a real tragedy, and it's written really, really well. Have you ever commissioned artwork to have you drawn in Yu-Gi-Oh style? That sounds pretty cool. No, actually. I think the only one I ever had is that I had someone draw me as a Blue Lantern from DC with a dual disc, and I think that's the closest thing. If you want to talk about commissions and artwork, again, I'm over here, and I'm happy to talk about that, because me and a dual disc, like this. Cassie, if you won create a card, what would you make? Neo the Magic Swordsman, the playable. It would probably have spell counters. It would probably say unaffected by other cards' effects, and it would just... Only way you could beat it is actual combat, and it would remove spell counters from itself if it got destroyed, and it would just be a monster. I would love it, and then it would get a kaiju. And then a kaiju would step on it, and then it's all done. Yeah, movies should be good, but that doesn't don't take time to research and to make a movie right. Yeah, I feel like a lot of times there are directors, particularly if you're familiar with the Resident Evil series or with Monster Hunter, they're like, how can we make this turn money instead of how can we respect the fans and make something good? Can we see that drawing of me? I don't have it available. It's in that closet somewhere, and I might run out of time. I'm not gonna lie. I'm happy to discuss it. Again, follow me here, and I'll be ready to talk about that. Did I incorporate Yu-Gi-Oh! Into my wedding? I tried, and I don't mean that, like, my wife said no. I mean, I tried finding the little minifigures of the Dark Magician and Dark Magician Girl. We couldn't find it in time. It just didn't happen, and I was sad about it, but I got Horo and Lawrence from Spice and Wolf instead. Thankfully, that is the backup plan that we had instead of the Kirito and Asuna ones that I ordered. That didn't age well, but thankfully we didn't get them in time. Favorite band card. Ooh. Well, let's take a look at the list, actually. And switch over. Yeah, this is what I was talking about earlier. We can't remember what cards are legal in speed duels because we have to memorize all of this. Really? Okay, so if we're looking at banned cards... Oh, man. Oh, man. So many to pick from. Firewall. Yeah, I'm glad that one's banned. Oh, actually, that is the answer right there. Tempest Magician. That one is another one that I really liked for spell counters. And it had a really, really fun ability. And let's just go through that real quick. Okay, so. Level 6 Synchro with 2200 attack and 1400 defense. Level 6 Spellcaster Synchro. One tuner and one or more non-tuner spellcaster monsters. When this card is Synchro summoned, place one spell counter on it. Once per turn, you can discard any number of cards to place one spell counter on a monster you control, for each card you discarded. You can remove all spell counters on it on the field to inflict 500 damage to your opponent for each removed spell counter. So, this one was fun because you had the ability to be like, okay, draw cards, play lots of spell counters, play Tempest Magician, and 16 times 500 is 8,000. Bye! But otherwise, like, I love the art aesthetic on this one. Because it looks like it's actually a fusion monster between Magical Exemplar and Night End Sorcerer. It's just a fun card, and when they actually had to ban it, I was like, yeah, you're right. I totally understand that there definitely was a huge potential for that burning on that one. Let's see. What is your favorite movie? You know, it's not Yu-Gi-Oh! Related, but it's The Princess Bride. It's such a good movie to just watch for pretty much any reason. You want comedy, you want drama, you want love. It has the best B-plot of any movie I've ever seen. Like, it's really tough for me to think of a better B-plot in a movie. And I love watching that movie. If you invite me over to watch that movie, I'm probably there. Just not right now due to COVID-19. Are you excited for the new Dune movie? Not really. It's got sand. It's got sand like Yu-Gi-Oh, but I don't know much of a connection between the two, and I haven't really seen as much. Let's see. What is a card that you dislike or hate the most? So, okay. This is going to be a weird answer. But this little guy. Hate him. Hate him so much. Oh, look at me. I have 1750 and I'm stronger than Neo the Magic Swordsman. Really? Really? This is what I lose out to. This is what I lose out to when I use a swordsman who can travel between dimensions and sorcery. I have a jelly bean with a sword and a shield. Really? This is what I lose to. Freaking hate that card. Was there ever a DBZ Yu-Gi-Oh! Crossover? If so, could you show it? I don't know if there was, but there would be so much talking in that show. It might just be talking, and then they play one card, someone punches someone in the face. Wait, that's just locals if you play Chainburn. Yeah, I don't know. I haven't seen it nearly as much as I'd love to. Do you have an organization system for your collection? I have them all in binders. I try to keep one as a hand list cards. Ones that are just unlimited. Try to sort them out mildly. I don't have a perfect system for it, and it's definitely not perfect. Let's see. Do you have a commander-style game for Yu-Gi-Oh? I don't. There was definitely a thing for Deckmaster a while ago, but the problem was that they were making up their own abilities, and it just was not good. But I would love to see something where it's like, you start with one monster basically on your shoulder, and at any point you just go, alright, showtime. I okay, I just don't know much about Dune. I might see it. I just haven't had the time to go out to movie theaters. Not sure if you've ever been asked this, but the ability to add a type to Pokemon or Yu-Gi-Oh, what would you want to add? Ooh, let's see, what do we have? We have psychics, we have robots, we have... What are we missing? I mean, we have spirits. It's really tough. I don't know one that would be right offhand what it would have to be. They cover a lot of bases, weirdly enough. I don't know. I'll have to think about that one. How many cards could a card chuck if a card chuck could chuck cards? They're not very big, and this is an average deck box of about 100. I would probably say it's somewhere to the tune of 150. But yes, Anime NebrasKon is right. Life, the universe, everything, it's 42. Most underrated deck currently in the meta. That's tough. Like, I see a lot of people playing the new Mutants. That one looks fun. Dogmatica is definitely up there, but I don't think they're underrated. I think out of all the underrated ones is probably regular Dogmatica without mixing into like Golden Zombies. Mutants would be a cool archetype. That could be a fun one where you have basically mutated versions of them. It's just tough because like that almost goes into the category of Beast or Beast Warrior. And I'm not exactly sure what we would do for a new archetype like that. Will you be on the next panel as well? I don't know what the next panel is. Let's take a look. Next panel, me... Oh, yeah, Heart of the Duelist, a Yu-Gi-Oh! Character study. That is actually done by someone else entirely, and I don't know much about what they're going to be doing that. I think it's actually just looking at the character studies of, like, Kaiba and Merrick and Yugi and showing how they all work. They look like fun. Oh, yeah, and Robin's with them. Oh, she's awesome. She typically shows up to my panels dressed up as either Mana or the Dark Magician Girl, and it's always fun to see her there. But yeah, I'm not part of that panel. I definitely do wish them luck, and I know they're incredibly knowledgeable about their stuff. So if you like this kind of content, I would stick with them. What other things do we need to discuss? Next panelist will be a different person. Yeah, that definitely is the next case on that one. Yeah, and it's funny because, like, I don't play as much Yu-Gi-Oh! As I used to, and that's not, like, saying, oh, well, I can't do remote duels or anything like that. It's just been, like, a lot of it has been... card games have a huge flaw, like MMORPGs. They can have amazing mechanics, they can have an amazing story, best visuals, amazing fun gameplay. They live and die on your fan base. This is something that's a little rough, because if I want to play Yu-Gi-Oh!, I can't play anyone in my house. I don't have another deck that my wife can play. I don't really have a good way of playing people online besides Duel Links. And I love Duel Links, but it's not the same. And I really wish that there was a good supported one. There's Yu-Gi-Oh! Pro, which is an unofficial one, and I would love to see that expanded on, but it's tough. Have you done Yu-Gi-Oh! Panels at other conventions? Yeah, I would definitely say that I have done this at NebrasKon. Oh golly, what other ones have I done this at? I know that I've done it at Constellation. Yeah, this is a panel that's not completely exclusive to NebrasKon. I just have been doing this for way too long. Favorite underrated card and favorite mechanic other than spell counters. Favorite underrated card. It's weird. I would have to say it would probably be Mystic Piper in that one. And let's go to that merry little card over here. So, it's a level 1 monster that says you can tribute this to draw 1 card and reveal 1 card. If that monster's a level 1 monster, draw another card. You can only use this once per turn. So, in my deck, it is all level 1 monsters in the main deck with abilities to summon really big boss monsters in the extra deck. So I just turn, it's like, oh, I'm a little robot owl. Oh no, now I'm a slightly bigger falcon, but I can only be in defense mode. I can't activate my ability. Surprise! Bird Jesus! And that's how the deck goes. But this one, oh man, this smooths out so much, because it's like, okay, I will play this, get Battle Fader, draw another card, and it turns into draw 2, and I can still do it during my turn. It's really, really good, and I don't see a lot of people running this card for a lot of reasons, but in my deck, really, really solid. Favorite mechanic besides spell counters? Man, I really, really like Contact Fusion. It's just not something that we've typically seen nearly as much. I really do like the idea of fusing monsters together, because it just is always more exciting. Like, the Invoked are definitely a fun idea, where it's like you have one different character as a wizard, and then there's like 6 different spells, all with different elements. And you kind of like pick your own kind of monster for that, where you have a toolbox ready to fight. And that's really cool. I love that. Running joke with staff, Shinobi made a couple of panels for this DigiCon we started referring to it as ShinobiCon. You can call it ShinobiCon. I am definitely in 3 other panels this year. But yeah, I am definitely going to be doing one called Two Chivalry. I am going to be playing with actually that guy that made the comment, Thunder God Nick. We are going to play 2-player Shovel Knight. We are going to what are the other ones? I'm going to teach about another card game called Koi Koi. If you're familiar with the Cardians, they're actually based off of that card game from Japan, and I'm going to go through and explain how to play that game. It's really, really fun. I do encourage people to watch that. And finally, the last panel of the night is called Finger Clicking Good. And I'm telling you right now, you need to watch that. It is amazing. It's a KFC visual novel. That's not a joke, that's real, and it costs nothing. You can go onto Steam and download it yourself if you don't believe me. It's there. We have a riot of a time. I absolutely need to encourage people to watch that one. Like value, what would you like to see extra deck summoning from the graveyard? I mean, maybe. I mean, that's a fun ability. It's just not one that I typically see as much. And it's interesting seeing the meta game for Yu-Gi-Oh come up, because a lot of time, you're gonna run into a lot of problems about when you need to one-up what you need to do. And that's been the issue, is that you have a strong monster. We want you to actually play something that's better than what we had last time. So we need to make it slightly better, then slightly better, then slightly better. And then you realize my hand's off camera about how high and strong these monsters need to be. That's an issue. Do you have a favorite memory of your first NebrasKon? I would definitely think that the first time that I went to NebrasKon, I had talked to a lot of people, and it was definitely a feeling of camaraderie that I really didn't have growing up. And that was something that really made me want to do more anime conventions, was that there are people here that I can mention the word Yu-Gi-Oh to, and it wasn't like, oh, what's that? It's like, oh, yeah, I've watched that. I have this deck, and I can play you over here. And it's just like, this is definitely home for me. And I always loved that element. I think a lot of it was just me doing the Jack Skellington impression of a convention. What's this? What's this? A con that's over there? What's this? What's this? A person purple hair? Oh my god, I can't believe what this, and this. What's this? Yeah, thank you for sticking by for my immediate banning from Disney for singing that. When you said Koi Koi, I got excited. The Twip ad crashed immediately. Yeah, It's definitely fun. That one's also available on Steam for like $14.99. I definitely would encourage people to watch that panel. I have a fun time with it. You'll see how well I do. I'm not fantastic at that game. But I definitely encourage people to do that. And I plan on being in the comments when that is going. The last 2 panels that I mentioned, we actually pre-recorded them to make sure that if there was any problems with live, that we had stuff ready. And it just turned out, oh, well, we should just show those because they were fun. The panel right before Finger Clicking Good is done by my wife, called Bad Fiction Power Hour. It's awful. It's really, really awful. I can't say that nearly enough. I think it's terrible, but if you like bad fan fiction, we got you covered. I can hear my wife laughing in the other room already, just because I mentioned this. So how are we on time, guys? Yeah, alright. 10-minute warning. Alright, so definitely the other big thing about this is that I really do appreciate people actually showing up to the stream. It really warms my heart to know that people actually still want to talk about Yu-Gi-Oh! Even though a lot of what I've been doing with Yu-Gi-Oh! Has lessened over the years. It's not that I hate it. It's just my time now is split between a lot of different things. I'm trying to do more on streaming. I'm trying to do more with Magic to play against my wife. I have twins. Like, there's just differences now in my life, and a lot of it gets cut, and some of it is Yu-Gi-Oh! It's not that my passion for it has fallen. It's just time is different for me now, and a lot of it is I'll play Duel Links, and I'll have a great time with it, and it's not died. It's just different. Yeah, Hawkmaster, I have twin girls, and they are 2. One of them is definitely learning words. One of them has definitely learned how to open doors. We definitely locked all of our doors. Do my kids play Yu-Gi-Oh? They don't yet. I feel like they would eat the cards. They actually eat books. So that is definitely a problem. Yeah, they're definitely in the terrible 2s. Yeah, and so that's a lot of it right now, is that my passion hasn't died for it. I still love Yu-Gi-Oh! I still love talking about it. It's just that I feel like when you have Yu-Gi-Oh! 7s, it's not me that I need to be for a target demographic. One of the reasons why I love Yu-Gi-Oh! 5Ds is that it was more of me as a target demographic. This was someone who was experienced, he was older, he knew about this, and it was fun. Like, it was definitely a more well-written part of the series. I'm not saying that they're bad, it's just one was a little bit better in my opinion. Yeah, fatherhood is the most beautiful thing I can do, though. Yeah, some days. Some days. And I definitely would love to teach them card games. Like, I definitely remember a lot of my love for card games comes from the fact that I would play tabletop games with my brother and sister constantly. That I got into Pokemon, and there was kind of the e-bragging thing of like, oh, how many cards have you got? And now I can point to my collection, and everyone else is like, don't you have a job that you need to do? Are you still able to play this game even though you're 30? And I'm like, I have money to play this game now. I can play this game better than I used to. But yeah, I definitely appreciate everyone coming in today. If you want to follow me anywhere, right over here is everything for me on Twitter, everything for me on Facebook and YouTube. I also don't have it written here, but twitch.tv/Professor Shinobi. I'm going to be playing Slay the Spire. We could play Duel Links. Let me know. I am totally open to what we can do because I want to get more content out there. And I definitely would love to do another panel like this. So if you have other questions, feel free to contact me at Prof Shinobi. It's over here. I need to remember how to point correctly. And I would deeply say thank you. What are you going to do? Odds are going to stack you back against the wall. References! I really appreciate this. It means a lot that we can come together in a time where being able to go to locals isn't available anymore. It means a lot that we can share something that it's an older series, but it still has a little bit of charm to it. And as much as people will riff on it, people still remember this. People still remember Yu-Gi-Oh! After all these years, and you can bring up some older ones and people probably don't. And there's a lot of passion behind this, and I would definitely say that the most important thing is the same thing that Jaden learns at the end of GX. At the end, he fights Yugi. And it's supposed to be something where it's like, oh, he's going to succeed him. He's going to be better. He's going to be the strongest duelist now. And ultimately, he realizes something. I've lost my passion for this game. And that was huge. I love that they actually bring that up, where it's like, if you lose your passion for this game, if this becomes I win or I walk, it's a job, not a hobby anymore. And I don't want that. I want this to be a hobby, and I'm glad I could share it with all of you. Thank you.